Hi, I'm Jim from Left Wing Libertarian.
And I am Anna from BeautyGirlsMom.com.
Today in our week of Super Bowl party tips and tricks, we're talking about
dip.
Those things that you get in a jar that you unscrew at the store.
There's no reason to buy dips in a jar. Store-bought dips, forbidden at your Super Bowl party.
Although if you go back and look at a previous video, we did do a taste test challenge.
We did do a taste test. I still think the homemade dips are better. Dips are, most of the dips, relatively easy to make. There's no reason why you would have to go and buy a store-bought or a jar dip.
And cheaper to make them at home.
Salsa, maybe, because salsa does require a lot of effort and...
Well,
you want to get just the right combination. But for the most part, dips are something that you can home make.
And then you buy it like the gallon jug, and then you add your own spices to flavor. You make it like a base.
You could do that.
Okay.
Or not.
Or not.
Or not. So the things that I wanted to talk about with dips, this is an opportunity for you not only to have stuff on your table that even your biggest eaters will eat, but it's an opportunity to have something on the table that those that are watching their waistlines will also enjoy.
Which means having like a crudité.
A crudité, which is the fancy word for vegetables cut up in different slices. But you don't have to make it feel like a punishment. The dips that you can serve with vegetables include a ranch dressing. You can go low fat with that. You could use...
Pure vegan, do it with a spinach dip.
Do it with a spinach dip. And again, you can make these lighter by using low-fat sour creams or light cream cheese, Neufchâtel cheese. You could use hummus instead of a mayonnaise-based or a real thick, rich dip. There's guacamole. Again,
I believe it's pronounced guacamole.
It's something that's a little healthier than, a heavy sour cream-based or mayonnaise-based dip.
Or we could go to really the best dip that you could make for any party, 7-layer dip.
7-layer dip, and that's
add
another...
a few extra layers to it.
Yeah, extra layers to it.
There's a video on here about doing 7-layer dip.
We have talked about
later.
7-layer dip before, and again, that's something that you can not only vary the layers based on what your family or your friends are going to eat. I am not a big olive person, so I could easily leave off the olive layer of our 7-layer dip and not miss it, but it also lets you use refried beans that are fat-free. You could use fat-free sour cream. You can definitely lighten up even your 7-layer dip.
Again, you may have a guest that's vegan or vegetarian in some state. You can, accommodate them with that.
Absolutely.
They don't have to feel left out just because they're not eating the wings.
Another thing you could use,
which is another day,
as an item to dip if you're watching your waistline or have people there that will be, fruit. Fruit is very popular, and there are a lot of different ways that you can provide a dip for different fruits. You could go...
What is that white stuff that you put in the middle of the fruit tray?
We usually do...
Is it like mascarpone
basically
cheese
called like a cheesecake dip, and we usually make that with Neufchâtel cheese, which makes it a lower fat dip. But it is a sweet, creamy dip that guests usually love. Kids especially love that.
Is that something that requires the stand mixer to be brought down?
It doesn't require the stand mixer. You just soften the cream cheese, but it's very easy to make. You could use yogurt. You could use honey, or go with chocolate and caramel.
Did you call me?
Yeah, I called you. Go with chocolate or caramel if you want to do something, a little more indulgent. But again, you're only dipping, so you're not getting a ton of calories.
The things that you can dip into the dip are, besides the vegetables, like carrots, celery, cucumbers, radishes,
fruit,
those little tomatoes,
cherry
all
tomatoes,
kinds of things. Pineapple is a big hit.
Crackers, chips. You want to make sure that you're not using the thin potato chips. Don't forget, you want your guests to be able to dip in. You want something that's a little more substantial, that's not going to break, because it's also a turn-off for other guests if you have guests that are dipping their chips into your dip.
Something you haven't mentioned.
Pretzels
They make
good.
those little pretzel squares. Those are really good, which brings up something they can be dipped in, Philadelphia brand cream cheese.
Philadelphia brand cream cheese, absolutely. I would also say breadsticks, warm pita or naan bread is also very good. You could use I mean, it's endless. The things that you could use on your platter for people to dip into your dips. It's pretty much endless.
And all of these are very inexpensive items to get.
Most of them are, absolutely. Onion dip is just a matter of a package of 99-cent onion dip, onion soup mix, and sour cream. Also 99 cents most of the time.
Is there really a difference between whether I get the unbranded store, the Lipton, the Knorrs?
We tend to go in all different directions. I just as frequently grab the Wegmans variety as I do the Lipton's variety, and it's really just a matter of what I see first. The difference in price is usually only about 10 or 20 cents, so it really doesn't make that much of a difference. There's also, a more gourmet upscale version of onion dip that you could Google the recipe for. It involves a little bit
Making
of work.
it fresh.
Actual onions instead of the freeze-dried onions. It gives a different flavor, but again, it's work and labor intensive. You don't want to do that if you're having a house full of people coming over.
Now, here's the beauty though of this, especially if you have a family, and you have children around. Making onion dip is something that you can have your children make at their first level of skill of doing cooking.
Yeah, it's something that we've always given our kids to do, even as young as like 3 and 4 years old. They want to help in the kitchen. You can't really give them a knife when they're 3, but you can give them the spoon and the packet of onion soup mix and let them mix some of the dips themselves.
Just stir it and mix it until it disappears.
The ranch dip for the vegetables.
And it's something fun because when the guests come, they get to stand there at the food bar and go, "Have you tried the dip I made? Have you tried the dip I made?" As they say that 47, 50 times.
They will. You can also use a variety of hot or cold dips. I will say there are a lot of pint-sized crock pots now that if you have a hot dip, and that's always been a concern for me. If I make a hot dip and I put it out, by the time some of the guests arrive, especially the later guests, it's not hot anymore.
So I guess the transition is everything we just talked about was a cold dip. Which means it can be left out on the table for hours, or you still have to watch how long it sits out?
Watch how long, especially if it's, based with a dairy product. You don't want to leave it out for hours and hours. There's a method that my sister uses that I really, really like. Take a bowl, fill it with ice, and then take the bowl that your dip is in and lay it down into the ice. So you want one bigger bowl that has ice in it, and then you take the smaller bowl of dip and you put it right into the ice. That will keep your dip colder for longer, so you don't have to worry about it if you have some late night guests, last minute guests that don't show up on time, and you want to make sure that everything that you have out isn't gonna kill someone.
Well, unlike a party that might go like a Christmas open house from 2 to midnight, Super Bowl party kind of goes from a little bit before the Super Bowl starts to when the Super Bowl's over.
Well,
people aren't showing up at midnight.
Well, people aren't showing up at midnight, but here's what happens for a lot of Super Bowl parties. The Super Bowl starts, let's say, 6 o'clock at night, and by the time...
Well, 6:30 this week, but... Yeah.
Well, whatever. But by the time it's over, you figure 10 o'clock. So you're 4 hours in. But some people don't want to come and have the meal portion of the party during the game. People want the chips and the dips and stuff. So they might start arriving at 4 o'clock and have sandwiches or, pizza, the heartier stuff a little bit earlier. So you might want your chips and dips sitting there for 4 or 5 hours. And that's a really long time for a dip, especially
Keep that in mind. The heartier you feed them at that first sort of thing, the less you have to put out for the dips and stuff, but you can, put out more variety to make it look, to, again, up your game.
You can make smaller bowls of a bigger variety of dip instead of making a whole package of onion soup mix. And really, onion soup mix in our house, the onion dip goes very, very quickly. We never have or rarely have onion dip left over after a party.
So you take your chip or your thing and you put it in the dip and then you pull it directly out. And what the chip wants, it will take.
So, and there's dip etiquette. You always want to include a spoon in your dips to make sure that people aren't double dipping and you're getting everybody's mouth germs when they dip their chip the second time. And it's polite to use the spoon. I know that a lot of people just dip their chips directly in it. That's lovely if it's just you and your husband and your kids. But if you have people, put spoons in there so that they can put however much they want. Up your game. That's our phrase for the Super Bowl videos. But definitely put a spoon in there so people can take some on their own plate and they can come back for more if they need it.
Yeah, but nothing we're saying is about up your budget. These are all things that are very easy to do.
All very easy to do. But again, hot, if you want to serve something hot, make use of the smaller size crock pots. There are also small size chafing dishes that really are the perfect size. They might have 3 small compartments And you can put 3 hot dips in there, or if you have, extra gravy for turkey sandwiches or roast beef sandwiches or whatever. But you want to try and keep your hot things hot, your cold things cold. And again, the biggest thing is something sturdy for people to dip their, something sturdy for people to dip into the dip. Whether it's, a sturdier cookie or crackers or potato chips, get the ones with the ridges, or get the kettle cooked ones, even better. They're less likely to break if somebody is dipping directly into the dip, and it'll keep your dip looking a little bit nicer, a little bit longer.
Okay. So that's it for today's...
That's it for dip.
Okay, wrap it up.
I am Anna from BeautyGirlsMom.com. If you'd like more tips on how to plan your Super Bowl party or anything else we talk about, just hit subscribe wherever it appears on your screen.
And we'll see you real soon.